Hello everyone, this is What If Deku Had Solo Leveling, Part 2. So, let's continue. After participating in his first raid and our closing of a gate, Deku would have returned home along with the sword that he got from Ochako. And whenever he returned to his home, it would have been about 6 to 7 o'clock, which was basically dinner time. Deku being basically late for dinner, he would have expected for Bakugou to laugh at him and or just make fun of him. However, whenever Deku went back home and or got to the dinner table, it was actually the opposite. Instead of laughing and or making fun of Deku, Bakugou would have actually asked Deku where he had been, and also why he had a sword. To which Deku would have just told Bakugou that he had just become a hunter, and the reason for being late to dinner is because he just got out of a dungeon. As for the sword, he just told Bakugou that he got it from someone. Bakugou, hearing that reasoning, he would have just said, "Good luck on being a hunter, I guess." Deku being surprised by this new Bakugou, he would have asked, Who are you? What did you do with Kachan? Eh? What kind of nonsense are you talking about, Deku? I mean, your attitude and personality changed, did not? You used to be like, Deku, die! Bam, bam! Bakugou saying, Oh, pay no attention to my new attitude, Deku. It's none of your business. Bakugou, after saying that, he would have just walked over into his room. Deku, still being confused, he would have walked over to Mitsuki asking, Aunt Mitsuki, what happened to Kachan? Oh, Katsuki? I don't know. Ever since he came back from school, he's been like that. Deku thinking, what happened in UA? Did someone break his pride or something? Mitsuki continuing to say, So Izuku, how is your first raid? Or is it called dungeon clearing? Oh, it's okay, I guess. It was a lot harder than I thought. Now, if you're wondering about what happened with Bakugou, we will have to cut to class today, where today was the heroes versus villains test, and Bakugou was the hero, and he basically soloed the entire team, and or carried the entire team, which would have actually impressed All Might, as after school, All Might would have called Bakugou to the office, where All Might chose Bakugou to be his successor, and inherit One for All. However, just as Bakugou thinks that he's about to receive All Might's quirk, All Might would have gave him one condition, which is to change his personality, and or his superiority complex. And unless Bakugou changes his personality, All Might will not give One for All to a Bakugou. Along with that, All Might gave Bakugou a time limit, which basically means that he needs to change his personality within that time limit, which is 2 days. Actually no, let's say 1 week. Which Bakugou, who of course wants to be All Might's successor and get stronger and become better than All Might, he would of course try his best to change his own personality and or attitude, which is why he is now like, well, that. Now, within that time limit, Bakugou would have actually successfully changed his personality, with only a tiny bit of his old personality remaining. And since Bakugou fulfilled that condition, All Might gave One for All to Bakugou, which Bakugou was of course excited about, as when he tried to use a bit of explosions, he would have felt that his explosions now are a lot bigger. Along with that, he feels stronger overall, as after receiving All Might's quirk, Bakugou's training with All Might would have began. Them going to Takoba Beach and clean the trash, which Bakugou does while using his explosions to basically blow them into smithereens. Along with that, Bakugou, while training with All Might, he would have found out that he can now use explosions from all around his body, meaning that he can now become a lot stronger, which of course excited Bakugou. As for Deku, he would have been joining raids and clearing gates about 2 times a week. However, in every single raid, Deku, instead of helping, he is actually a burden, since in most if not every time, Deku is the only person to get injured in the entire raid team. Which is why every single time that Deku quote-unquote clears a dungeon, he never gets any extra money. Since he's so busy getting injured, he can't even kill one monster. Now, with this going on for a month, Deku in that time would have been basically well known as the weakest hunter. By the way, if you're wondering, the attack on the USJ did not happen, since in this what if, there are a lot less villains. So if All For One decided to attack the USJ, there would at least be a 50% decrease in the amount of villains. As for the reason for the decreased amount of villains, well, long story short, is because of gates. If you want more info on why, then go watch my world building of what if Deku had solo leveling. You should be able to find that video on the card in the upper right corner. If not, just go to the description. I'll put a link there. Now, back to the story. It would have been about 2 months since Deku became a hunter, and in that time period, Deku basically would have had no luck of becoming a good hunter, since in those 2 months, the only things he did was get hurt and run away, along with always being saved by his teammates. Deku, upon realizing that he has no talent for becoming a good hunter and earn money, he would have started to lose hope. However, with his mom's health in mind, Deku would have continued to push forward. And in one fateful night, Deku would have came across a D rank gate. Him seeing the gate, he would have thought, should I join this raid? I mean, I could use the money, but it's a D rank, and considering my skills, I couldn't even fight against a E rank monster. How do I even survive in there? And even if I could survive, according to the other times where I survived without a healer, I'll be using most if not all of the money I earn in my own medical fees. So is it even worth it going there? Deku, while he's still analyzing if he should go and join the raid, he would have had a flashback to when he visited his mom in the hospital. Him thinking, no, if it is for her, I will do everything, even if it costs my life. As Deku would have signed himself up for that D rank dungeon. As when he arrived at the scene, he would have saw one familiar face, who is Ochako Uraraka. Deku, walking up to Ochako, he would have greeted her, to which Ochako would have greeted him back. Her seeing that Deku is still using her sword, she would have asked Deku if he learned how to use it. To which Deku just tells her that he sort of did, I guess. I mean, he can at least swing it, but just not skillfully, I guess. Now, whenever all the hunters are gathered, which there are 17 of them, a guy, which let's call him, what, Kaido? Yeah, sure, I'll just call him Kaido for now. So, Kaido would have stepped up saying that today he will be the leader of this raid. As for the reason, it's because he's the strongest, which of course no one objects. Now, after announcing that he will be the leader, Kaido would have led the entire raid team to go through the gate. As about 5 minutes in, Deku already got hurt, which since Ochako is there, she would have healed Deku. And this continued for, let's say, about 15 to 20 minutes, which by that time, every single monster that was inside the dungeon would have been killed. And Deku, for once, actually got a kill, with the help of Ochako, of course, since it took Deku like 5 tries to kill this one monster, and he was only able to kill it because Ochako kept healing him. Now, whenever all the monsters in that dungeon was killed, everyone would have been a bit confused, since the dungeon by now should be collapsing. Since, they killed every single monster in the dungeon, so the dungeon should at least be closing right now. But it isn't, which means that they have not killed the boss and/or have not killed every single monster. And just as they were about to scatter to find the remaining boss and/or the remaining monster, they would have found a gate. Kaido, recognizing that this is another entrance, he would have told everyone that they will be opening the entrance and going in to kill the boss. However, just as Kaido said that, some of them said that they don't want to go in and just want to leave, to which Kaido organized a vote, with the result being 8/8. Basically a tie between leave the dungeon or continue the dungeon. And out of the 17 people, the only one that has not voted yet is Deku. Deku at first wanting to vote for leaving the dungeon, but after thinking about his mom, he would have went with continue with the dungeon. So Kaido, respecting the result of the vote, he would have started to open the entrance to the dungeon boss, with Deku in the back apologizing to Ochako, since Ochako voted for leaving the dungeon. As whenever everyone got into the boss room, it was dark at first, but within seconds, the room would have been filled with blue flames, which is around the boss room, it revealing to everyone that the boss room is filled with what? Stone? Or is it concrete? Just basically, the room is filled with statues, like giant statues that resembles a soldier. And in the opposite side of the gate, there is a statue that is even bigger than those giant statues that resembles a soldier. And that giant statue resembles a priest. Along with that, in the corner of Kaido's eyes, there is a statue holding up a stone tablet. Kaido, walking up to that stone statue, he would have tried to decode what that stone tablet says. Him saying, "First, worship the Lord. Second, wait, what's that word? Oh yeah, praise the Lord. And third, prove your faith? What does that mean? Wait, there's more. Those who do not follow these commandments will never return alive? As just then, the door behind them and/or that giant gate would have closed, trapping everyone in the raid team inside the boss room. Meanwhile, with Deku, he, along with Ochako, for the entirety of from walking into the boss room and being trapped in it, they have a bad feeling. The feeling of something looking straight at them. And let me tell you, that feeling is not pleasant. Not one bit. Now, whenever the entrance to the boss room closed, one of the hunters would basically be like, "Screw it, I'm leaving." As that hunter would have walked over to the gate and tried to open it, but whenever he put his hand onto the handle, that was when those two giant statues that resembles a soldier right next to the gate would have sliced his hands off. And following that was the man being literally dissected. By that, I mean that hunter was sliced into multiple pieces, with that hunter's head having to roll over to the raid team, and/or the rest of the raid team. This, of course, causing everyone to panic, since it turns out all of those giant statues are alive. But that's not even the worst part. Remember that giant priest that was on the opposite side of the entrance? Yeah, that thing can shoot lasers out of his eyes, which wiped out like half of the entire raid team. And that laser beam would have killed everyone if it wasn't for Deku telling everyone to duck, which the ones who heard Deku and did what he said lived. Those who didn't died. Oh, not just died, they don't even have a body. The only thing that's left is like their feet or a body part or something. And after this, what, massacre? Those who reacted in time and survived, they would have panicked even more. And one crazy dude thinks that after one attack, it's over. Yay, he can stand up now. He stood up. And you know what happened? Pew! Laser beam! Guess what? His entire body was vaporized. The only thing that's left of him is 5" of his leg. 5". As after witnessing another one of their teammates dying in front of them, everyone would have panicked even more. And in this, chaos? Kaido being a bit far away from Deku, and since he's a bit older than Deku, his reaction speed is slower, which caused his arm, which is not bleeding because the laser beam cauterized the wound. Him having to crawl over to Deku and thank Deku for basically saving those who are alive right now. As Deku being like 5 meters away from Kaido at the time of him reading that tablet, he would have asked Kaido what he read from that tablet. Kaido having to tell Deku what he found out, to which Deku would have immediately realized that there are rules to this dungeon. And the first one is to worship the god, and/or the lord. Deku, after realizing the rules, he would have told Kaido to tell everyone that whatever they do, don't stand up, and stay down. Kaido doing what Deku just told him to, he would have told everyone the exact same thing. And while Kaido is telling everyone that, Deku would have did an experiment. Him having to stand up little by little. As whenever he was just about to stand up straight, he would have realized that the eyes of that priest is starting to glow, as he would have immediately just bow back down, and/or just go back onto the ground, with the eyes, basically dimming. Deku, after the experiment, he would have realized what they need to do. Him telling Kaido, Mr. Kaido, There are rules to this dungeon. Quick, tell everyone to bow to this priest and statue. Just do it. What? Are you crazy? Why should we ever bow down to a monster like that? It's the first rule, Mr. Kaido. Worship the Lord. Just do it, otherwise we'll all die. Kaido having to tell everyone to bow down to that stone statue priest, everyone would have grudgingly did so. And just as everyone did that, the expression of that priest statue changed into a terrifying smile. And not only did it just smile, it also have sound effects of stone cracking. It is as if like that stone priest statue is smiling as wide as it can just to terrify everyone to their core, which worked like a charm. Everyone seeing that petrifying smile, they would have asked Kaido what they should do next, to which Kaido just looks to Deku. Deku saying, "Second, praise the Lord." Kaido, being barely able to hear Deku, he would have responded with, "Are you joking? Praise the Lord? How are we supposed to praise to that dog shit of a... I don't even know how to freaking describe that thing. But if we don't praise the Lord, then what happened moments ago would just happen again. And this time, none of us might even live through it." As just then, a fairly tall hunter would have walked up to both Kaido and Deku, him saying that he believes in the Lord. As this hunter would have taken out his cross and started to recite and basically trying to praise the Lord. However, while that hunter was trying to praise the Lord, that giant statue of a priest stood up and is currently walking towards the group of hunters. Deku, realizing that this, hunter is praising the wrong god, yeah, he got killed. How? He got brutally stepped on, which, again, caused everyone to panic even more, them having to scatter around the room and try to run away from that giant priest, as another one of the hunters would have basically stopped in front of a soldier, him saying, "Is this far enough? Am I safe?" As before this hunter can finish his sentence, the soldier that is behind him sliced him into two, revealing to everyone that if they get too close to the soldiers, they will attack. Deku, with his quick thinking, he would have tried to analyze the situation, but before he can, he would have saw Ochako in danger, her having to stand in the direct path of that giant statue of a priest. Deku, without thinking and regarding for his life, he would have immediately ran towards Ochako, him having to tackle Ochako to the ground, as he and Ochako would have barely been able to avoid the step of that priest. And while Deku was under the priest, he would have saw that there is a soldier that is wearing and or holding an instrument. Him thinking, wait, the soldiers with weapons, they attack. Then what about those with instruments? Do they attack or do they play the instrument? Deku yelling to everyone to go to their closest statue that has an instrument, which everyone promptly does, with Deku having to try and go to one as well. However, before he moves, he would have noticed that Ochako is not moving, him being confused. As Deku, realizing that Ochako is not responding, he would have just grabbed onto Ochako's arms, as Deku would have started to run towards a statue that was holding an instrument, which let's just say is a drum. And while Deku is running towards that instrument, along with yanking Ochako there, he would have looked at Ochako to find that she is in a state of shock. And right now, she is mumbling, I don't want to die. No, this can't be the end. I still want to see my mom, my dad, my family. This can't be it. Now, while Ochako was mumbling all of those things, Deku, along with Ochako, would have arrived in front of that statue with the drums. But something is off, because that statue is not playing the drums. Deku, seeing that, he would of course be confused and start to panic. Him having to look around, he would have noticed that at every single statue that has an instrument, there is only one person in front of it. And right now, including him, there are two people standing in front of the statue with drums. Deku thinking, damn it, where's the last instrument? I can't find it. Come on. There it is. Deku, finding the last statue that was holding an instrument, he would have of course dashed towards that statue. But just as Deku was about to get closer and closer to that statue of an instrument, that giant statue of a priest would have stomped his leg onto the ground hard, which would have caused the entire ground to shake, causing Deku to lose his balance and fall to his right. And whenever Deku fell onto his right, he would have realized that he landed in front of a soldier with a shield, as that soldier would start to move. It using its shield to attack, that statue would have slammed its shield onto Deku, which would have sliced Deku's leg in half. But I guess fortunately it only got Deku's right leg. And crawling with all his might, Deku would have arrived in front of the statue with the last instrument. As whenever he did, that statue would start to use that instrument, which, along with all of the other instruments that are being played by those other statues, they would have created a song that is unheard of. Not like very bad that is unheard of, but it's actually the opposite. And as that song was being played, the remaining hunters would have tried to regroup, but just as they were about to, a altar would have raised up from the center of the room. Now, whenever that altar rised up onto the ground and or just appeared, the atmosphere in the room would have started to die down just a tiny bit, with one of the hunters blaming this entire tragedy onto Kaido, saying that since he's the leader, he was the one that forced them to join this raid. Well, not join this raid, I mean like fight this boss. Which is of course something that is not true, since they vote to join and or fight this boss. And while they were arguing, Ochako, who kind of broke out of her state of shock, would have walked over to Deku, her trying to heal his wounds. And while she was doing that, that hunter along with Kaido would have came to the conclusion of, well, Kaido sacrificing himself. Since that is an altar, they believe that they will have to sacrifice someone so that the others can leave. But just as Kaido walked next to that altar, a blue flame would have lit up around it, which Deku, who is still barely conscious, would have tried to solve this puzzle, and or figure out why there is a ball of flame whenever Kaido walked towards that altar and or walked close to the altar. Him kindly asking Ochako to bring him towards the altar as well. To which, whenever they arrived there, 2 more flames would have lit up. Deku, realizing that each flame represents the remaining people in their hunter, he would have asked for the other 3 hunters to join them, and or to just walk to the altar, which they grudgingly did, as whenever every single fire lit up around the altar, the entrance to the boss room would have opened. But just as the gates open, every single soldier and or statue that looks like soldiers that are around the entire room would have started to walk towards the altar, which would have of course caused everyone to panic, since the image and or the strength of those statues are still fresh in their minds. However, lucky for them, without like a long time, basically like within 6 to 5 seconds, everyone would have realized that as long as they look at those statues, they cannot move. And while everyone was looking at the statues, Deku would have noticed that the flames that are surrounding the altar are, well, starting to fade. Him thinking that this is a timer for, well, basically how long they need to stay alive for until the doors will open and stay open. But whenever there is a small glimmer of hope, there is also a lot of despair and or doubts. With Deku telling everyone that there is a timer, everyone would of course basically start to do as they told. But not everyone is as optimistic as Deku, since, there's a timer, and the timer means if they don't do something in that set amount of time, then bad things will happen. So this kind of mindset caused a female hunter among those 6 to dash for the gate. And to the surprise of everyone, she's alive. But whenever she ran through that gate, the door started to close a bit. This causing everyone to realize that if they just dash towards the entrance, then they will live. However, Deku, he kind of disagree with this idea, since the last commandment is to prove your faith, meaning to stay in this altar while looking at every single soldier, hoping that this quote-unquote Lord will let you live. However, the hunter who basically blamed Kaido for this entire massacre would have said, "No, I want to live. I have a family to go back to, and if I have a chance to live and get back to that family, I'll take it." Him having to also rush towards the entrance, and just like that other female hunter, he lived, which leaves those 4 in the altar, with Kaido saying, "Hey kid, your name is Midoriya, right?" Deku saying, "Yeah." Kaido saying, "Thanks kid, you saved us. Never thought an E ranker is gonna be this useful. You have a long way ahead of you, Midoriya. Go. Leave. I'll hold them off. Uraraka, can you move?" Ochako saying, "Yes." However, just as she was about to take a step, she would have fell onto the ground. Her being confused, saying, "What? I can't move." Kaido saying, "Mana exhaustion. Damn. Wait, maybe we can still get off here alive. Since there are 4 of us, me and the other hunter can carry you 2 out of here, right?" Kaido having to look at the other guy, and or the last hunter, or just the 4th hunter. However, when Kaido turned his head towards the direction where the 4th hunter was, he would have found no one there, as Kaido would have looked over to the entrance, where he saw the 4th hunter leaving without saying a word. Him saying, "Damn it, damn that bastard, there goes our plan." Deku saying, "Mr. Kaido, please, you should just take Uraraka and get out of here." What? What do you mean? I said I'll stay. Really? Then who's gonna take her out of here? I can't even walk properly, and she can't even move. Do you think we can get out of here alive? Just take her already. But go. We don't have much time left. Uraraka saying, But Midoriya, you can't be serious. You're going to die. Deku saying, I did say I would pay you back for that sword, right? You can take that monster corpse and get some money out of it. Uraraka saying, No, stop joking. You're gonna... But before she can say anything else, she would have been knocked out by Kaido, him saying, I'm sorry, but there really isn't any more time left. Deku saying, Yes, I know. Keep her safe. Kaido replying with, Yes, I will. And again, thank you for saving all of us. And as Kaido was leaving through the entrance, Deku would have had a flashback to whenever he was a child and still wanting to become a hero, him whispering, No problem, because that is what a hero does. As after both Kaido and Uraraka left that dungeon boss room, the gate would have closed entirely, trapping Deku in there along with all of those giant stone statues that resemble soldiers. Deku, seeing this, he would have thought, at the end, I'm still a weakling. I guess Kachan was right all along. I really am useless. But at least I got to save someone else. Huh? Deku, looking to his left, he would have saw the sword that he got from Ochako. Him trying to pick it up, he would have said, Even though I am gonna die, I'll at least take one of you down with me. So, come on, give me your best shot. As Deku, while saying that, he would have lifted that sword up towards all of those giant statues that are walking towards him. Deku, while looking at all the statues that are walking towards him, he would have thought, Wait, shouldn't all these statues stop when I look at them? Why aren't they? As before Deku can think about it even more, that was when he would have been stabbed by a giant spear, it having to pierce straight through Deku's right shoulder. Deku would have of course screamed out in pain, along with his blood being sprayed up his body even more. However, that is just the beginning, as that statue of a soldier would have twisted the spear while it was still inside Deku's right shoulder, this of course causing even more pain to Deku, who was already screaming out in pain at the top of his lungs. As after twisting the spear, that stone statue, and that statue of a soldier, would have lifted Deku up in the air, and then slamming Deku on the top of the altar. And when Deku landed on the top of the altar, that stone statue of a soldier would have ripped its spear out of Deku, causing even more blood to sprout out of Deku. Deku, while being in, basically hell, he would have thought, No, I don't want to die, no, I don't want to die, no, please, no, I still want to see my mom, I want to see her alive, I want to see her out of that sleep mode, I want to feel her hug me, I want to live, damn it, if I only had one more chance, just one more. Deku, seeing that stone soldier holding up its spear high in the air, he would have thought, No, please, just give me one more chance. And just as the spear was about to reach Deku's face, it would have stopped, as a screen and or a window would have popped up in front of Deku. It's saying, "You have completed the secret quest called Courage of the Weak." Deku thinking, "What? What is this? Secret quest? Courage of the Weak?" Him having to hear a voice saying, "You have completed the secret quest called Courage of the Weak." What? Where is this voice coming from? "You have earned the right to become a player. Will you accept?" Earned the right? A player? What's going on? You do not have much time remaining. If you refuse, your heart will stop approximately 0.02 seconds later. Will you accept? Wait, if I accept, then does that mean I don't have to die? As another window would have appeared in front of Deku, it's saying, "If you do not accept, then your heart will stop approximately 0.02 seconds later. Will you accept?" And under that, there are two boxes. The one on the left is accept, and the one on the right is refuse. Deku thinking, "Yes, this chance. I'll take it." As a window would have appeared saying, "Alarm, welcome, player." Just then, a blinding flash of light would have covered Deku. Now, I believe that this will be a good place to leave things off of. If you guys want me to post part 3 to this what if, then help me reach, let's say, 32 likes on this video. If it does, then I'll record and post the third part to this series as soon as possible. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next video. Have a nice day.